another episode of This Ain't Pretty. I am your host, Alasia J, and I am so happy that you decided to tap in with me today. We are going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects. Let's talk about sex, baby. Yo, in the world where sex is a multi-billion, probably trillion.
In a world where there's billions and trillions. Go ahead. Sorry, I just had to get that in there.
Okay. Yes. So, in a world where sex sells everything from furniture to colognes to paydays and M&Ms, it's everywhere with everything. Where people record animals and post it on the internet, or insects and post it on the internet. But most importantly, where we create life, intimacy, connection, and some people use it to make money. I'm not condoning that. But let's talk about it. Because I love it so much, and not just doing it, but discussing it so people can understand the beauty of it. It is not just a physical act. It is spiritual. It is mental. It is emotional. It is all the ohs and oohs and ahs, right? I have found myself talking about this more and more recently with people because at the church I attend, we just had our marriage series, and we talked about, we was just getting into like, how do you keep your marriage spicy? How do you, keep the bedroom exciting? Like, how do you do all these things? I'm just keeping all the juices flowing. You feel me? So let me say this. I do not condone premarital sex. I believe that we should wait until we are married. So this podcast is for those of you who desire to be married, and those of you who are married and you're like, well, how do I make this deeper? How do I have more fun? How do I get more enjoyment? How do I get pleasure out of it? And that's what I'm here for. So let's get into it. One, I feel like the number one way is really the only way to make it spicy, and that is intimacy. And it's like, how do you become intimate with a person? And I don't mean intimate where you just have dim lights and rose petals and chocolates and wines. That's not intimate. I mean, that's romantic. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking whips and chains and handcuffs. I don't know if that's kinky. Maybe a little bit, a lot of it, whatever your thing is. But intimacy is where you can be vulnerable. You share your life. You share those things. The insecurities that we talked about on a previous episode. You are able to be honest and open. You are able to relax. If you want to experience true intimacy with your partner, you have to be able to speak to them. Okay, sex is not something that starts in the bedroom. That's where you finish. Or whatever room you in. Look, baby, as long as it's your house, you can go wherever you want. But that's not how you make it pop. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be willing, ready, and open to your partner. I'm sharing this with you. I'm sharing you why I'm afraid. I'm sharing with you why this makes me nervous. I'm sharing with you that I had a bad day. I'm sharing with you that, I don't like strawberries. I actually love strawberries. But I'm just saying, anything and everything, in order for you to experience the greatest pleasure, you have to be able to be vulnerable. Because sex is one of the most vulnerable acts you can have with somebody. As a woman, you literally open yourself up. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a man, you are entering into a place that only you can be in at that time. So you have to be able to shed away, get rid of all the running thoughts, all the stuff that's going on inside your head, and just enjoy and connect with that person. And so in order to do that, you have to be able to have a conversation with them when you're not in the bedroom, or even when you're in the bedroom, but you're able to be vulnerable. And I could share with you about those things that happened when I was a child. I can share with you about those things that happened when I was a teenager. I can share those things that happened when I was an adult. Good, bad, and ugly. I can tell you why me and my dad beefing. I can tell you why me and my sister don't get along. I can tell you why me and my brother haven't talked in 10 years. Vulnerability. Okay, I can come to you about those things that make me worried. I can come to you about those things that make me excited. I can share with you my dreams. Like, you know what? I want to design a hoverboard. Like my son said, he wants a hoverboard with no wheels. So your partner should be able to say, you know what? Or your spouse should be able to say, you know what? Lord Johnny wants a hoverboard with no wheels. Babe, I'm going to design it. I'm going to create it. And when you come to them, or when Johnny Sr. comes to you and says that, he should be able to be comfortable enough. And you say, you know what? If you want to design that floating board, y'all come up with your name, you can do it. I can share my deepest dreams, my deepest aspirations. I can share with you the craziest idea that comes to my mind. That is how you create the most intimacy in the bedroom. How? Ask me. Say, how, Sway? How? Because you're comfortable. That's it. You comfortable. When you are comfortable with somebody, you can try things. When you're comfortable with somebody, you can touch things. When you're comfortable with somebody, you can explore things. And in that exploration and touching and experiencing, you find out what you do like and what you don't like. You can say, I want a lot more of that and a little more of that. A little less of this. You know what I'm saying? A little less of that. Whatever it is, you're able to be open and vulnerable. Because if I can't talk to you about why I had a bad day, I'm sure not going to be comfortable talking about like when you touch me wrong or when you touch me right. How? It's not going to happen. So you have to be you have to be well-rounded in all of your conversations. You have to be open in all of your conversations in order for it to be what you need it to be. If a woman, listen, I think the statistic is like 60% of women, I think it's 60% of women never experience the big O. Okay, that is a problem because
Is that in America? That's that the world.
that might be the right. Let me look it up because let me not be making up statistics. I know I read it before, but
That's a lot of women.
that's a lot of sad women.
And you know what? It's a lot of sad. It's a lot of women who haven't experienced, like you said, the big O, and the big O is a part of their anatomy, bruh.
Exactly.
Like God gave y'all a button, and you telling me 60% of women hadn't that button hadn't gotten pressed?
Okay, correction. And 10 to 15 women have never experienced one.
How much?
10 to 15.
10 to 15.
But 75% don't experience it through intercourse.
Okay.
That's what it is. That's why I was like, dang, that's a high number. But it's 75% through intercourse. And why is that? I would say a lot of it is because of discomfort, worry, insecurities, shame even, lack of patience. Got to take your time sometimes. Sometimes you're here for a good time. Sometimes you got to be here for a long time. Either way, it needs to be
A good time.
the time needs to be achieved. We need to achieve what we came in here to do. You know what I'm saying? So that you need to just be able to be comfortable with your partner. Say, these are the things that I want to try. These are the things that I want to experience. And when you're not able to do that, when you're afraid of what that person may think, when you're afraid of what that person may say, it prevents you from being able to get where you need to go. Because it's not only a physical thing, it's mental, it's emotional. It should be phenomenal. And if it's not phenomenal, what are we doing? Why aren't we doing? Why aren't we getting there? Figure it out. But you figure it out through conversations, because there may be something that you're doing to your partner that they don't like, that they're not enjoying, but they're afraid to say it to you because they feel like you enjoy it so much. There is somebody right now that is doing a move or a maneuver or something with their spouse, and don't neither one of them like it, but they doing it because they neither one of them brave enough to say something. They saw something on a movie or they heard something somewhere. It was like, "Oh, we should try that," and both of them were like, "Okay, we're gonna try it." And now they doing something I don't even enjoy. Make that make sense?
Ain't it wild that people can be like the most natural? The most natural is sex. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And being naked,
for sure.
and they can do stuff, and they won't even speak up about.
Yeah,
That's wild to me, man.
yeah, because it's uncomfortable for a woman to say that that didn't do it for me. For a man to say, "Oh, that don't do it for me." I mean, am I guilty? Yup.
It takes a level of humility.
It takes
No,
a
yeah, that's the word. Yeah,
humility, maturity,
yeah.
trust. Let me tell you something. There is something. I'm gonna just be real vulnerable. Put you out of my business just a little bit. There is something that um, my husband did and has been doing for a very long time. And I finally asked, and I was like, "Hey, what do you get out of that?" And he was like, "I don't know. I thought you liked it." I was like, "I don't." It was like, "It don't do nothing for me." I was like, "It don't do nothing for me." And it was hilarious to us though, because we're able to be open and honest. But I was like, let me just ask, because I was like, I want to know, because I don't have man parts. I don't know what you experience. I don't know what you feel. I don't know how it feels for you. I know it's different for both of us. Like, we have different experiences doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying? And there may be certain positions that feel better for both. There be maybe certain that's neutral for both. There can be ones that don't feel good for either. And then there's a combination of all in between there of both of you. And it was like, yeah, I was like, let me just ask. Because it was like this moment I noticed it. I was like, I'm going to ask. And it was hilarious because then it was like, okay, we don't got to do that no more.
And I think the cool part about that is that you felt safe enough to even ask or put that out there.
For sure.
Because your mindset was not about you going there and hurting the person you're talking to.
Right.
Like, you knew that it was a safe space and they was gonna receive it in a
Yeah.
safe way.
Yeah. And that's what you have to do in order to achieve maximum satisfaction. And you will see that when you have other areas of your relationship that are not being fulfilled, it's not going to be fulfilling there either. Or if it's only fulfilling there, that's really miserable. And even if that's the only place it's fulfilling, it has not reached its full potential, because it reaches a higher level of intensity and satisfaction and happiness and all of that when all the areas of your life are satisfying. When y'all are on one accord when it comes to cleaning the house, when y'all are on one accord with the children if you have them, or the dogs, or whatever your, you know what I'm saying, your babies are. Shoot, some people got plant babies. So whatever your babies are, when you are on the same accord financially, when you are on the same accord spiritually, when you're on the same accord emotionally, when y'all feeling each other and y'all vibing, it's like when y'all have had a really good day, and then it's like, yo, it ends in the bedroom. It's better than that day where y'all was just like, okay, we doing it just because we here and we two bodies, or just because I need one. Because sometimes you just need to get it out. You know what I'm saying? It be like that sometimes. But you do still have to have deeper moments. And to achieve that, you have to be willing to be vulnerable. And you have to be able to trust each other. And if you have not achieved that yet, I guess the question I would like to pose is, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for to deepen your relationship with the person that you say you love, the person that you have made a vow to, the person you are in covenant with? What are you waiting for to experience all of the beauty of sex, all of the beauty of your marriage, all of the beauty of your relationship? Because though relationships are a lot of work, you have to be very intentional about them. It shouldn't be miserable work. And you're like, well, what's miserable work? Example, I love to cook, right? So I enjoy cooking. So when I go in there and I make a meal and I've been in there on my feet for 3, 4, 5 hours in there cooking and stuff like that, it's not a miserable work. I enjoy it. I got my tunes on. I'm in it. If it's Italian, I'm drinking me a glass of wine when I'm doing it. If it's a Sunday morning, I got my gospel blast. Well, I usually got my gospel blasting regardless, but I create a vibe for whatever I'm cooking, and it's enjoyable, right? Now, on the other hand, if I had to do yard work for 4 or 5 hours, that's miserable work. I don't want to do that. That's not me. That's not her. She don't like that. So, what type of work do you like to do? So coming into this relationship, or as you are in this relationship, the work that you're putting forth should not be miserable. You should be happy to make adjustments, to grow, to experience life together. And if you're not, start having those difficult conversations. And when you have the conversation, don't go in and be like, why aren't you like this? Don't go in with blame. Don't go in accusatory. Like, you know what? I would like to discuss this with you. Let's discuss it. And that's whatever it is. And you can start light. What you about to say?
I was like, yeah, you can start like you can also like what do they call it? Call the pink elephant in the room. Just be like,
It's not a
yo,
pink elephant. It's just the elephant.
okay, call out the elephant in the room. Be like, yo, like we need to talk, but like this is gonna be uncomfortable for me. If you put that out there, that starts to open up that safe
That's
space.
that's
Yeah.
vulnerability in itself. Just saying like, yo, I know this is about to be a hard combo, but it's a necessary combo.
It's like with like any book, there's a section in the book called the preface. That
Yep.
part, like if you can preface, you don't have to do it all the
Preface
time,
it.
but preface it, be like, yo, like, this is gonna be tough.
Like this is difficult for me to say, or I have had this realization, and I've had a lot of difficult conversations with my husband. And I say the time that we were able to have the most difficult conversations was at a point where we were trying to decide. We were in limbo before we got married, before we got engaged, or anything of if we were going to be together. Because our relationship had these really big ebbs and flows. Like it was good and it was close for a second, and then when we did, baby, we did, baby, dip. Like we kept it 90s. We was, let me hear you say, scrub the ground. You feel me? Like that's what we were. So, so, I mean, yo, we was keeping it 90s, and I was like, that's not how I want us to be. Um, and so we were trying to decide if we wanted to be together, and there was a time where we fasted and we stopped having sex, and we were like, you know what, because sex is too confusing, we need to stop doing it. So we got serious about our relationship with the Lord. And so during that time we were able to have conversations that I never had with anybody, and I never even had with myself, because I was able to see things about myself that I was like, okay, this is why I was able to see why I behaved a certain way. I was able to understand me and my why behind the way I did things. You know what I'm saying? And so with that, we were able to grow more intimate. Now, remember, at the time we still not having sex. It ain't like we had the conversation and got busy. Nah, we had the conversation and we still had to wait for several months before we got intimate again. But what it did was when we were able to become intimate again, I trusted him more. Because there wasn't any distrust before. Like, I'm not saying that things weren't enjoyable before, but in marriage, it was better. Everything. And it was because I was able to be more vulnerable. I'm able to be more honest. I'm able to be more myself. There's a level of trust, understanding, patience, desire greater than I thought it could be. And so if you're saying like, oh my gosh, that can't happen for me. No, it can. It's just going to take work, and you have to do it on purpose. You can't just showing up ain't going to do it. You know what I'm saying? And so once your relationship is going to improve, and as your relationship improves, everything in the bedroom improves. And it's like, how you be hearing about that stuff you see in the movies, the stuff that is very produced, and they find the perfect angle to make everything look perfect, and the makeup is perfect, and the
365 days, right?
oh god, if you watch 365 days and you thought that was a good movie, go pray. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Nah, that's called Stockholm Syndrome, sweetheart. That was not a romantic movie. But anyways, I'm not gonna start riffing on that because I hated that movie. I was like, where's the storyline? That's the problem. People think you can just meet somebody and pop, 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 and now all of a sudden it's just so mind blowing. No, it's not. That's not real. It's mind blowing when you know the person. When you know when you wake up in the morning that they still gonna be there. That's mind blowing. It's mind blowing when you know that you ain't got to go to the clinic next week because it's burning a little bit. That's mind blowing. It's mind blowing when you say, I'm late and you ain't talking about for work. And it's like, okay, we got to do, okay, yay, celebration. You know what I'm saying? That's mind blowing. Mind blowing ain't meet greet, wham bam. Oh, I ain't heard that so long. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. That's not mind blowing. That's fake. Yeah, and we know it. Like we've all, many of us have had experiences where you hook up a temporary, you know what I'm saying, fling where it's like, oh, the sex is good or whatever. Like, oh, it's so great. Oh my God, it's so wonderful. And it's unfulfilling still. Because something can be good and unfulfilling. And that's what we have to be real about. Like good doesn't mean fulfilled. So make sure when you're working on something, it's something that's going to be fulfilling as well as good. And in your relationship and your marriage, when you put that work in, when you take the time to talk, when you take the time to be vulnerable, when you take the time to say, listen, here is my heart. I mean, I've married you. As a woman, I've taken your name. Or if you didn't take their name, I know, like, some people don't exchange names or whatever for whatever reason, and that's fine. But it's like, I've signed this agreement. I've made this covenant. I've come into agreement with this in every way. I need you to be able to give me your heart. And your heart is not perfect. And we have to get this idea of perfection out of our head. Like, what am it ain't pretty. I'm not always pretty. The situation ain't always pretty. You not always pretty. That's just the real. And stop telling yourself it's going to be. And don't allow anybody to make you feel like it's supposed to be. It's not. The beauty, I mean, if you think about anything beautiful, like you think about the things that you've seen in this world that is most beautiful, it either started out plain. Let's talk about like a canvas, a photo. Let's talk about the edits, a flower. Let's talk about the seed. It starts from nothingness. It starts from mediocrity, maybe. But the things that you appreciate the most, the most beautiful things that you experience, they come with work and it comes with time. And it comes with some difficulty sometimes. And it's like, and that's in our relationships too. So if you want to have the best you've ever had, and I'm talking about, I want you to think about that moment where after you scratched your head, I don't even smoke and I need a cigarette. Like, you think about, like, you was like, that's not normal. Think about that moment. You still haven't experienced the best unless you have that super healthy relationship, and then that is beautiful, and I'm so happy for you. Congratulations, because everybody don't get to experience that. And I feel like it's not fair, because you can, if you take the time to learn your partner. And I'm always go back, like, I have to go back to the spiritual, and I gotta give, the honor to God. God created it for it to be beautiful, for it to be amazing, for it to be like, whoa. And for you to experience in that magnitude, for the way that He created it, you have to do it the way He designed it. He designed it for us to be married. He designed it for us to be intimate. He designed it for us to come into knowing. Like, if we go, let's go way old school, like Bible old school. He said she knew no man. To not know a man or to not know a woman meant to be intimate and to have sexual intercourse with them. And so for you to experience the best, I would say you need to know them. And to know them means the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like I said it before, when the hair ain't done, when the makeup ain't on, when the hair growing out, when y'all scruff McGruff around the beard and all that type of stuff, when the cellulite is there and the stretch marks and the dad bod and all of that good stuff, or not so good stuff, whatever you want to call it, when the imperfection is present and you can expose yourself, and that person knows all of those things about you, and y'all can have those conversations that make you feel like, ooh, but then you can come together and be like, I love you in all of this, all of the things you don't like about yourself. And I know the things you don't like about yourself. And I know you know the things that I don't like about myself. But we still about to do this and we going to enjoy this. It is like,
What do you think about prayer before sex?
well, you got to pray. Listen, you better. Um, yeah, that's something that I had to do. So, like I said, there was fasting, there was no sex, there was no physical contact. We got to the point where it was like nothing, nada, right? Like nada, desert. So when I got married, I was still uncomfortable because I had done it wrong for so long. I had lived in the sin for so long. Um, Doing it right felt wrong, even though it was right. You know what I mean? And so I had to pray. I was like, God, I need you to take away this nervousness and these nerves because like this can't be the rest of my life. Like I can't like I know I made a vow. I said, but if this is what I got to look forward to, I can't do it. And I'm not blaming him. It was me. It was my mentality and my mindset at that time. And so that night I prayed and not too long after, let's just say all of my concerns were gone. Okay? Like Shudder was very happy. But yeah. So that's my experience with prayer and intimacy and sex and it was amazing. And you too can prevent forest fires if you pray before intimacy because everything gonna flow like it's supposed to.
I mean, you might not prevent no forest fire. You may make a forest fire.
No, why would you make a forest fire? The forest fire is because things are dry.
Oh,
But
I was gonna say it's gonna. Yeah, I get it. I was gonna say it's gonna get hot. You know.
I get you, but
Yeah.
it's hot in other things. Maybe a monsoon or something. You know what I'm saying? A hurricane. Yeah, feel me? Let me stop. But yeah, so listen, it is, it is ups and downs in all of it. But if you want to experience greatness in the intimacy area, in the sexual aspect of your life and of your marriage, you must be able to be vulnerable. And that takes practice too. And so one way that I was able to build up vulnerability in my marriage is buying card games and stuff like that. So things that I just made for him and I wasn't for everybody. Games for him and I where we were like, okay, we're gonna play this game and it asked questions and it said do things and we had to do things that were uncomfortable, like dancing in front of each other or kissing certain parts of the body or exposing things and touching places and all these types of different things. And so it just made you do things that we had to step out of our comfort zone. And the crazy thing is we had already been together for years. It ain't like we hadn't seen every part of each other, but you can be with somebody for a long time and never be intimate with them. You can be with somebody for a long time and have never been really vulnerable with them. And you're what's the word? You're I hate when this happens. You're you are cheating yourself out of a wonderful experience.
And as believers, like we should be having the best.
The best.
But I think the shame or the uncomfortable what's the word? The
Discomfort.
discomfort
Mm-hmm.
around the topic of sex.
Yeah.
That's I mean, we should be able to have this topic in a church
All the
building,
time.
in a church building, not just like on a pod on a a pod and we bring up the Bible. No, man, we got to be having this conversation like in the
In the
church
church, yeah.
building
For sure.
or dinner or whatever.
Yeah, no, for sure. And and that's why I keep emphasizing this needs to be within your marriage because as a woman of God, it's like, we always hear about other people having sex. So when you get married, you're not going to have sex no more. Lies. That should not be true. You should intentionally do it. You should have fun doing it. But it's because there is shame around it, like you said. But that's what I say. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. And if you're willing to marry this person, if you're willing to say that you want this person to be the father of your children or the mother of your children, if you are willing to do life with this person for the rest of your life, because that's how long marriage is supposed to be, why wouldn't you be willing to have those conversations? And I'm not saying there won't be an adjustment period after having the conversation. The conversation don't mean that's it, that's all. It means you got to work through some things for sure. It means sometimes it means that this is the conversation we having this conversation tonight, and we'll be having this conversation for the next 2 weeks as things begin to get uncovered and we discover more and we're revealing more and we're seeing more. It's not always a one time deal. Sometimes it takes a while for you to get through that thing. You gotta pop in if you want to say something.
Okay, I just heard this in the spirit. Like our pride can prevent us from having some of the best sex
That's true.
because
Dang, yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Like the pride prevents you from being vulnerable. It prevents
it
you
does.
from having that humility,
Pride and fear.
pride and
Pride
fear.
and fear. And don't don't let that pee get you away from the good pee and achieving the big old.
Because if you don't, you're gonna be PO'd.
That was so bad, but
Yeah.
yeah, it will. So yeah, listen, it will. You will find yourself in positions where you're just like, why am I so dissatisfied? Why am I so frustrated? Why am I so angry? It's because you're not able to. First of all, relieve yourself of the problems and the burdens and the things that you're carrying. Like we have to remember that everything when you are carrying baggage, it goes with you in there too. It don't stay on the couch because you saying, oh, I gotta go do my thing real quick. It won't stay on the couch. You can leave it on the couch with me now. You can drop something in the comments. Tell me what your problem is. We can talk about it, and we'll leave it on the couch. No, we're not, because you need to take it back to your spouse and talk to your spouse about it. But leave it on your couch at home, and then once y'all sort through it, throw it out and be done with it. Go to therapy. Sit on a therapist's couch. Somebody couch need to be having some conversations. Okay, find a couch
And do it on the couch if you can.
and then do it on the couch. But put if you don't have kids, you ain't gotta worry about the kids being at school. But if you got kids, on some kids go to school when they go to bed. Well, maybe not when they go to. Listen, if you're gonna be loud, don't do it when they're in the bed, because you don't need to know. Come out like, Daddy, what are you doing to mommy? You don't need no type of problems. But yeah, like, yo, you should not be having those problems. And if you are, get help. Get help. And you will realize that when you're able to talk about the dishes, like you never wash the dishes. And because you never wash those dishes, I'm not, you know what I'm saying? You're not waxing on and waxing off. I'm not waxing on and waxing off. And that's sad and it's boring. You're not I gotta worry about the bills being paid, so you got to worry about getting laid. That's not cool. I'm not very good at making this stuff up. I'm just saying. But reality is you need to have those conversations that are hard to establish true intimacy for you to achieve the ultimate and maximum pleasure. To achieve what y'all have come into this for. And that's not the only thing, but you'll experience the intimacy and the closeness and the peace in your relationship that it will carry over. And they be like, dang, you come in humming every morning to work now. You used to be attitudinal. I'm like, dang, well, if he a construction worker, like, but these buildings straighter than they ever been. These towers are standing, and you be like, me too, my boy, me too. So whatever it is, like everything is going like it's supposed to, because you don't have none of that built up stuff in there, and you don't have anything built up in your heart, because that's where it comes from. It comes from the heart. But I should be able to give my heart to my spouse. I should be able to share my heart with my husband, and he should be able to share his heart with me. And in our sharing of the hearts, when we share in other things, it's top notch. And that's how it should be. It should be top notch. No concerns. I should be able to share, hey, you know what? I don't like this. I don't care for that. When you said that, it made me sad. When you said this, oh goodness, I loved it. When you did that, it made me uncomfortable. When you did this, I absolutely loved it. And it's not just sexual, that's in every aspect, though. That's in every area of the relationship.
And fellas, don't be afraid to be vulnerable either. Like, let your lady see that you got real emotions.
Yes. It is nothing more sexy than a man that can share his heart with me. And women, when your man is being vulnerable, when he is telling you the things that make him sad and make him hurt, don't you judge that man and make him feel like less than? Don't do that. Let that man speak to you. Let that man share his heart with you. I don't know what this is that we getting into where if a man cry, he weak. No, it's not. The Jesus wept. Crying is a sign of strength. It's a sign. It's a sign of relief, release,
Vulnerability.
vulnerability. And if you want to experience the best parts of your marriage, of your relationship, you must be vulnerable. If you've been with somebody for over a year and y'all, I'll even stretch it. If you've been with somebody for over 3 years and you never cried in front of each other, that's a problem. That's what's wrong. Cause crying is natural. If it's been more than a year and you haven't cried at all, what's wrong? Go sit. You let's chisel out the hardness and let's empty that well. Let's get the well flowing again. Cause you gotta cry. Get it out. Or maybe because I like crying. I don't like crying. Let me be clear. But I don't mind crying. Baby, I cry to drop of a dime. But either way, cry when I'm happy. Cry when I'm sad. Cry when I'm laughing. Baby, let's cry. But it's just vulnerability. And if, like I said, I'm gonna keep going back to it. In order for you to achieve the best you've ever had, you must be vulnerable with the person that you're having it with. So yeah,
The spouse.
the spouse. That's it. Husband and wife. Not all them extra people. You ain't supposed to be doing all that. I know other people tell you otherwise, and you can have 3, 4, 5. That's not okay. That's called infection or STD or drama. And you ain't got to do that either. But we do that because we're looking for fulfillment and we're not getting it. But we're not getting the fulfillment because we're not vulnerable. And you're willing to do all these things with all these people to prevent yourself from connecting with one person on the deepest level that you can connect with them. And that's not okay either. And so preserve yourself. Preserve your well-being in your mind, in your spirit. Let your vulnerability come out in conversation. Deal with the emotions, deal with those feelings. And when you finally experience the intimacy and the depth of sex within your marriage, it will be better than what I'm telling you it's going to be. Okay, you're going to be like, yo, she wasn't lying because I wouldn't lie to you. Why? What you going to do, beat me up? No, I'm just kidding. But I'm just saying, like, there's no reason to lie about it. Once you experience true vulnerability with your spouse and you're able to be intimate and deep with them, you will experience something that literally words can't explain. Words can't describe. And it's not for words to describe. It's to be in that moment. And it's for you to experience that and for you to enjoy that. And it's a personal thought for you and your spouse. That's it. Y'all going to enjoy that. And y'all think about that. And y'all look at each other and just know you like, yep. Like, you ain't have to say nothing. Like, listen, I know. I was there. Because that's how it should be. Y'all should be having the most amazing, most phenomenal time. It should be marvelous. And if it's not, let's make it marvelous. And for those who are not able, because let's be real, there are people that are not able to perform for whatever reason. There's sickness. There could be sickness. There can be anything that's happening. You long distance. That doesn't stop you from experiencing intimacy. Intimacy is not just physical. Intimacy is with your heart. And so you can still be achieving maximum satisfaction through conversation. Have you ever had a conversation, you get off the phone and you like, or in person, like you right there and y'all talking and y'all dealing and y'all just enjoying each other. Excuse me. You can achieve all of those things even if you can't be physical. You can be intimate with each other, and you can touch, and you can love, and you can feel each other. And you should. And I want that for all of you, for everybody. So, thank you once again for tuning into This Ain't Pretty. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you like and share. Drop a comment about, this conversation. If there's anything that you feel like I missed, drop a comment. Like we can revisit. I don't mind sex. Like I said, literally, sex is my favorite subject in the world outside of God. Like, if we ain't talking about heaven, we need to talk about sex. No, I'm just kidding. But for real, let's talk about it. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you'll get a notification every time we drop a new episode. Again, thank you for tapping in. Peace.